Welcome to episode 688 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther, and this is the show that, let me see if I get to this right, puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games.
And it's been a long, long time, and it's basically all my fault. So...
No. That's not fair. That's not fair. We've had life. We've had some life.
Woof.
We're not gone. We're not fading. We've just been dealing with life.
Right. It's, you know, as a dad, you get to May and you're like, I just need to survive May. I just need to get to the end of the school year. And you always forget, at least I do, that, well, it doesn't actually get less crazy in the summer.
So for those of you who listen to It's a Thing, you might get this, or this might actually be out in the zeitgeist, but Maycember.
Yes, Maycember is totally real.
It's real.
The crappy version of December where it's every bit as much chaos, but no one gives you presents at the end.
Right. Right. Yeah. Unless you're the graduate.
Right. Which I'm kind of past that phase of my life, so I have nothing to look forward to. You know what I do look forward to every week, though, when we do the show? Listener feedback. And despite the fact that we had a roughly 3-ish week hiatus, we have a piece of listener feedback to share. This came in to us at our email address, entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. And it's from longtime listener Tim, who wanted to tell us how he tracks the things that he's watching on Netflix. So he says, hey guys, I have a tip for Netflix subscribers. And this one comes with a trigger warning for Richard. I love this already. He says, I watch a lot. And that extra emphasis is from him. I watch a lot of Netflix, ranging from Swedish crime dramas. Not sure how I ended up in that genre, but they're great.
She's right.
Yeah, to documentaries. One of my greatest annoyances with Netflix is its decision to omit a way to mark things watched. Consequently, I often end up rewatching 10 minutes of a show before realizing I've seen it before. This would be me. This would 100% be me. He says, Just Watch to the rescue. I recently discovered that the Just Watch app offers a way to mark shows watched, even on a per-episode basis. Unfortunately, this service is only available to Just Watch premium subscribers at a cost of $3.99 per month. But I watch so much Netflix and am so annoyed by this issue that I'm willing to pay the price. And he says, I did check, and this function is not available in either the IMDb or Plex apps. Richard, are you doing okay after that message?
I am. I don't know about the Plex option. Well, no, that's true, because you can't mark third-party stuff as watched in Plex. Yeah. So, yeah, I am a fan of Just Watch already, because Just Watch is really my go-to for where can I find something. And you can't rely on any one of the streaming platforms for that. You can't rely on Google. You can't rely on Apple. You can't rely on Netflix or Roku. No, not Roku or Amazon, because they all have at least one major service that they don't cover. And I'm in the Apple ecosystem, so Netflix, not in the list. So it's not tracking what I'm watching in Netflix. Everything else, sure, no problem, but not Netflix. So I like Just Watch quite a lot. I don't like paying subscription fees for stuff. So I've looked for things that don't cost me any money. And I found a couple different things. Letterboxd is one that costs money. It's also very full featured. Two things that I had ultimately homed in on. One is called TV Time, and the other is called, I can't remember what it's called right now. Okay. Well, let's talk about TV Time while my brain tries to figure out the other piece. So TV Time is a free app. It's not pretty. It's not always up to date, but it does list all the episodes and let you sign up for an account and freely, without any subscription cost, identify what you've watched. And it also lets you share information with other people on the platform, which is kind of nice. In fact, I learned about it from a listener here who who I share my information with, and they share their information with me. So that's kind of cool. I like that feature of it, and I don't have to pay for it. Again, not pretty. They don't keep up necessarily with the latest and greatest features. It hasn't changed design-wise significantly in years, but it gets the job done. The other I now do remember is Tracked. And this is something that Tom Merritt talks a lot about on Cord Killers. Tracked is a platform used by multiple applications, but it itself can be used to track what you've watched and what you haven't. I find it way too complicated. Like many, I don't know that it's open source, but like many multi-platform or multi-app backend services, it has so many options and it's so complicated. It's way more than I care to track. I care to track what I've watched and maybe have lists of things I want to watch and things I used to watch and stuff like that. And that's about it. I don't need anything much more deep or specific than that. So I love this recommendation. If you are a Just Watch user and you want everything in one place, this is a great recommendation. Also, if you don't mind paying monthly subscription fees, which I really mind. So I'm going with the cheaper option. TV Time sort of does the same thing. And so far, so good. But seriously, good recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Always, I mean, we love all of our feedback, but we really love the feedback that gives good tools and resources to everybody else in this community. So
solves problems.
Exactly. So thank you, Tim, for reaching out.
As my friend Adam says, spends my money.
Well, yeah. Tim might be spending some people's money here. $3.99 a month if you're looking for this.
I mean, it's not that bad, right?
No, it's not. A month. It's not. But you also gave them some free options. So
yep,
very nice. All right, so let's dive into the news. Let me give you all a little bit of a warning here for how this is all going to go. So we've got a few video stories. I think they're mostly bad news. We've got some audio. We've got an audio story that I think is surprisingly good news. And then we've got some gaming news that I'm going to try not to spend 3 hours talking about. So Richard has already warned me that he might get up and leave during the middle of the gaming segment. Okay, so let's get into the video news and let's start with Prime Video. So last year, at the beginning of 2024, Amazon started introducing ads into Amazon Prime Video, and then also at the same time introduced an extra tier of service that would eliminate ads from those videos. And when they announced all of this, they said, yes, we're going to give you ads, but it will be meaningfully fewer ads than our competitors. And that seemed relatively true, I would say. And in fact, for a while, I was hardly seeing any ads on Prime Video. It was really nice. That's changing. A report from Adweek confirmed, no, they're actually displaying way more ads now than they used to. Potentially double the amount of ads that they used to show. So it looks like they are showing from 4 to 6 minutes of advertisements per hour when it used to be 2 to 3 minutes of ads per hour. And I don't like seeing more ads. Like I'm not excited about it, right? But when you put those numbers into context, it's kind of not actually that bad, right, Richard?
No. Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as CBS or some of the other networks that put their content on online services and throw, 4 to 6 minutes per break.
Right.
And I'm not exaggerating, particularly on FAST services, on the free ad-supported TV services, right? Those tend to have pretty big breaks in the ad periods. So not that bad. I will say, I feel like we called this, right? When they announced this, they were like, oh, yeah, we're only going to show a small amount of ads. It's going to be less than everybody else. And as long as people don't mind it, we'll continue that. Well, apparently people didn't mind that. Although I'm a little bit confused by that, because part of the news is that, in fact, one of the reasons why they may be increasing the ads is that their revenue in this has been down since there have been fewer people watching the ad-supported service.
Interesting.
Not fewer people. I think fewer total hours is the actual stat. Well, that might make me wonder. Maybe people do mind. So if you crank it up a little bit, see if they mind more. And if they do, maybe you pull it back. Maybe you decide not to go much further with it. Personally, I'm not at the point where I'm willing to pay $3 a month extra to get rid of those ads. And I don't feel like there's enough on Amazon that we're watching now that we've even really noticed that much.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. We really don't watch that much on Amazon Prime, and this isn't that bad. And to put it into even more clear context for people, an hour-long show, like when you think of a traditional hour-long show on network television, you get 44 minutes of content, typically. 44. That's it. So you are getting 16 minutes of ads per hour of show if you're just watching something on CBS or whatever, like you said.
Yep.
And here we're talking 4 to 6 minutes. Yeah, I'm not really going to complain too much about that for free, basically.
Yeah, I guess really the only thing that I worry about is does this mean that it's going to become more interruptive? Like before, they were trying to keep it mostly at the beginning and the end. And does this mean if they're adding more that we're going to get interstitial ads, which are going to interrupt the flow of the program? And frankly, that's one of the things that we really enjoy with streaming services is uninterrupted storytelling.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. With 4 to 6 minutes of breaks, how many interruptions could it be? 1, 2? It's probably not much. So
yeah, I don't know.
I'm all right with it. Okay. Well, one thing I'm curious if you're all right with is Apple had their big developer conference. They announced all of these new versions of every single piece of operating system software they own. They all have new versions, numbered 26. And that includes tvOS. And tvOS is getting this new liquid glass design language.
Yeah, it is. And that's pretty much the whole story right there. So,
well, is it the whole story? Is it a good thing? Or is it a bad thing?
So I think the answer is it depends. I expect that we will see some iterating on what we've seen so far from the liquid glass design language. So liquid glass is Apple's new iOS and actually multi-platform design language that they're going to use on all their different platforms. You may remember back in iOS 7, if you've had an iPhone that long, that they dramatically changed how things looked. Everything used to be 3D and gray and black, and then they made it very colorful, and they got rid of the 3D effects and stuff like that. Well, this is the new look. And that was iOS 7. That was like 12, 13 years ago, many years ago. So this is a pretty significant update to the overall look on all the devices. And I mean, if I had to say, well, what does liquid glass look like? It looks like Vista, Josh.
It sure does.
It looks like Windows Vista, which I loved.
It looks the way that Vista looked in my mind, right? It's right.
Yeah. And I loved the look of Vista. I thought it was great. And so I don't have any problem with that. What 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 I think is going to be interesting is how they apply it across platform. And everybody's already posting stuff where they're showing, liquid glass stuff like layered over liquid glass stuff. And the idea is that everything has a layer of transparency to it. And so you have transparent over transparent. It just becomes a big old muddy mess. They will fix that. They're not going to let that go into production. They're going to fix stuff like that. But, and they've already fixed their YouTube video. I don't know if you saw the YouTube video, Josh, but, YouTube, when you create a big video with a title on it, something like in big letters across the whole front of the thumbnail that says liquid glass. When you create a YouTube video, YouTube puts a big YouTube play icon right over the middle of your video. So it might end up like blocking out some of the letters like G and L.
Like the G and the L? Yeah.
Right. So Apple's already fixed that. They're already iterating.
That's amazing. I love that.
So anyway, the other big thing here, and I think this is probably the more useful thing to take note of, is that while we've had profiles on Apple TV for a while that allow the Apple TV to kind of understand how you versus someone else in your household prefer to watch TV, and that would be like your recommendations and your history and stuff like that. Now, instead of having to proactively go into that to change the profile, you'll be able to have it set up so that when the device wakes, which is pretty much every time you turn your TV on, then it will initially prompt you to select which profile you want to use. And I think that's a good thing, as long as it doesn't do it like YouTube does, where I have but one profile and it always requires me to select said profile.
That must be an Apple TV thing.
I don't know, but no, it's not. I have the same thing happen when I'm on my Google TV devices.
Maybe it's just that I've never
YouTube,
logged in with multiple profiles on my YouTube app then.
But I don't have multiple profiles. I only have one. There is but one. And it always requires me to like, if there's a setting you know about, if there's a setting any of you know about, that will stop Google from nagging me to select, not log in, but select which profile when I only have one profile. I would love to know what that is.
Huh. I don't think I've ever had to do anything funny for that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping Apple's smart enough to not even offer such a stupid option.
Yeah.
So we'll find out soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, one more video news story here, and it's related to YouTube. This time, YouTube Premium Lite. This is the subscription offering that we've talked about for the last couple of months, where it gives you ad-free access to YouTube with an asterisk for less money than regular YouTube Premium. And I say with an asterisk because YouTube Premium Lite, for most of the things that you're watching on YouTube, you didn't get ads. The big caveat there was music. If you're going to watch any music videos or just listen to music essentially through YouTube, you would get ads because YouTube has a music service that they would rather you be paying for directly. It's called, unsurprisingly, YouTube Music. And if you just pay for YouTube Premium, the real thing, you get access to YouTube Music and an ad-free experience in YouTube, including with music videos. So YouTube Premium Lite is the option to just get the ad-free version of YouTube without the benefits of a music streaming service because maybe you're already subscribed to Spotify or Apple Music or something like that. Okay, that's YouTube Premium Lite. What's changing here? Well, unfortunately, they're kind of like Amazon. They're going to show some more ads. They're not really changing ads in the traditional video experience. Instead, what they're doing is they're going to show you ads in Richard's favorite feature of YouTube, YouTube Shorts. So I don't think this actually impacts Richard at all because you ignore shorts.
I won't notice.
They are also going to show ads in other parts of the interface. Like if you're searching for things, like you'll see ads in the search results and other aspects of the main UI. But in terms of, you're just watching a video from some of your favorite YouTube creators, like you're still not going to have ads there unless you're watching their shorts. Then you will be getting ads. If you are still interested in that, if you're willing to deal with ads in shorts and music videos to get an ad-free experience across the rest of YouTube, you can subscribe to YouTube Premium Lite for $7.99 a month. And again, it is pretty much just that. You're not getting the ability to listen to music or to download videos or anything else. It is just the ad-free experience in essentially everything but shorts at this point.
Yeah. You remember, Josh, when there was this window of time where like the number one service where people went to listen to music was YouTube? And we're all like, wait, what? I don't understand. There's no DJ, there's no playlist. You have to call every single, what the stuff? And then Google realized, hey, we could monetize this.
Right. Yeah. I never really understood the people who were using YouTube for music, but it's true across like age demographics. Like at first I assumed, it's only the kids that are doing this. Nope. I've got people my age that use YouTube for music. And it's like, I am not dealing with that right now. I will just turn on Spotify. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, well, let's jump into some audio news and let's talk about a new soundbar. The first soundbar from Marshall.
Josh, I don't know that everybody could hear that, but you rolled your eyes a little bit when you said that. So, how do you feel about this soundbar?
Oh, I'm actually kind of excited about this soundbar.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
No, like when I saw the news, I thought, all right, another soundbar. It's another soundbar for Marshall, but that's actually not true. This is their first soundbar. They've produced lots of speakers. They have lots of Bluetooth speakers, and of course, they make like amazing guitar amps and things like that. And all of their other audio stuff is styled to look like their gorgeous guitar amps. So I find all of their speakers and things like that beautiful. I love the look of them, and the same is true with the soundbar. It looks exactly like it probably looks exactly how you're picturing it in your mind. If you've never seen this, if you know what a Marshall speaker looks like and you know what a soundbar looks like, you can probably guess what this looks like. And as long as you're thinking of something pretty, you're probably right because this thing is gorgeous looking. Which matters when it's when it's a 3-foot box sitting underneath of your television, right? And so I think they hit the nail on the head there. But how does it sound? For the very first soundbar, and soundbars are different than just like making a good Bluetooth speaker or something like that because, you're not just looking for great music sound. You're also looking for really clear spoken word out of like a center channel type experience. When you're watching TVs or movies, you want to be able to hear and understand what the actors are saying. That matters. When it comes to watching movies, you probably care about things like surround sound, including Atmos. And they went for all of it. They are not just dipping their toes in the water with the soundbar. It is a premium soundbar with 11 individual drivers inside of it, supporting a 5.1.2 experience. So yes, there's a lot of like algorithms and bouncing sound around your room because it is still just one box sitting under your television that is providing Atmos and DTS:X support out of this. It's also got all of the other features that you'd be looking for out of a soundbar. It's got HDMI 2.1 with support for 120 hertz displays. It's got Wi-Fi and Ethernet built in, actually, to support Apple AirPlay 2, Google Cast, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, so you can just cast to this thing for listening to your music. And And it's just one box. You don't have to find a way to connect or run wires or run wireless rear speakers or find a place to put those in your living room. And there's also no separate subwoofer to put somewhere else in your living room, which for some people is a good thing. For some people, it's a bad thing. For those of you that's a bad thing, they're coming with one. It's just not available yet. And they say you don't need it, but that's what every soundbar maker says, right? Like, so much bass out of our soundbar. So I went looking for reviews, and every review that I found of this loved it. They say that it sounds fantastic. And even without a subwoofer, it does provide really good bass. Now, they say, it probably doesn't compare that well to speakers that have discrete subwoofers. I would expect that. But it sounds like, what it looks like Marshall did here is say, we want to bring our technology, our style, and go after the Sonos Arc. And that's roughly what we're talking about in terms of price here too, because this soundbar from Marshall, I haven't said the name of it. It's the Heston 120. I have no idea what that Heston name is referring to. Maybe I'm just not enough of a Marshall fan to know what that word means. But
Great. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, but it is the Heston 120, and this thing, it's not coming at you cheap. It's $1,000 for the soundbar. Now, $1,000 for a premium soundbar, that's actually not bad.
Right.
The Sonos Arc costs $1,000, I think. $1,100?
$990, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, so about the same. And it sounds like this thing sounds about as good as the Arc, or maybe better to some people. And I don't know, I think to most people probably looks better. And Sonos has been doing everything they can to make their fans hate them. So you don't have to worry about any of that with this device. The one downside, Richard, that I think you and some other people might not like, there is no physical remote for this device. If you want to tweak any of the settings, there's also there's like not a display on the front of it. So like, if you want to adjust settings or just like see if the thing that you're listening to is in Atmos, and maybe your typical receiver or soundbar might have a little light that would light up when you're watching Atmos content, it doesn't have that. You have to get all of that information from the app.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. That's not any different from Sonos. That's what I'm dealing with Sonos as well. So I think this is really smart, and they're supporting AirPlay, they're supporting casting, they're supporting two very popular music services. I'm frankly surprised that they're even bothering to support the music services. Like, I'm not convinced that is where their audience is. I think their audience is people who want a beautiful device that's also going to provide a really quality audio experience in a soundbar format for video. So I'm excited about this. I think this is really cool. I hope at CES we get to hear this, or maybe at CEDIA I get to hear it.
Right.
This sounds really awesome.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. And I don't know, I haven't paid that close of attention to Marshall devices to see how frequently they go on sale. Sonos devices don't go on sale all that much, although, lately they've kind of needed to just to keep people buying stuff.
Their price just goes up and up and up.
Well, didn't they actually just reduce the price of the 100 level speakers?
Yeah, their entry level speaker, shocker. They needed to lower the price of that because not only are they no longer going to make or work with IKEA on budget low entry level speakers, but their own entry level speakers started at $250.
Right.
I think that might be a little bit of a push for some people. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm super excited about this. Like it, I mean, it's more than I want to spend on a soundbar right now, and I don't really need a soundbar. I've got a pretty good setup right now. And I really do like having the discrete subwoofer because I do like a lot of bass, particularly when I'm watching movies and stuff. So, but this sounds awesome and it looks gorgeous, and I would love to have it in my living room. So, yeah, I hope that we do get to hear this in real life somewhere soon. CDA would be a great place for it. And by then, the subwoofer might be available too. So we'll see.
Good point.
Yeah. All right. We got some gaming news. This shouldn't be surprising. It is June, which is when I guess we just generally refer to kind of everything that happens in the gaming space in June now as Summer Game Fest, but there's really a lot of different things that happen now where we used to just have E3. So we're really just going to focus on what Microsoft did here with a couple of quick stories at the end, because PlayStation didn't really announce much other than a bunch of games, and Nintendo didn't really do much other than ship the Switch 2, which we'll talk about at the end. But Xbox...
That's not much. They didn't do much.
I mean, it's a big deal, but there's not really that much to talk about there. So let's talk about Microsoft and Xbox and what they're doing. And so they actually had a fairly large event the weekend that they always do. It's June, it was a week ago on Sunday, where it was mostly focused on just the games. And again, we don't really get into the individual games here, but the one thing that I loved about the game sort of aspect to their announcement was they made a really big deal about Xbox Play Anywhere, and that every game that they showcased, whether it was from them or from a third-party publisher, every game they showed during that showcase supported Xbox Play Anywhere. And as a reminder, Play Anywhere means you buy it in one place, like on your Xbox or your Windows PC, and you've got a license to it on both platforms. And for people who have Xboxes and Windows PCs, it's pretty awesome to be able to do that. And to see that library continue to get bigger, especially with third-party games, is really, really awesome to see. And it'll play more into what we start to discuss here. So they then, since then, well, we'll get into that later. So the other thing that they discussed for a little bit, they had a little sizzle reel around a couple of new devices. These were all leaked ahead of time. New handheld devices that they're not making, that Asus is making. And what was the far bigger deal was the software changes that they were making, because they're Windows-powered handhelds, like the Legion Go that I'm recording this podcast on. And Windows on a handheld gaming PC is kind of annoying for most people, especially when you compare it to a Switch or a Steam Deck, where you boot it up and all you've got is an interface for playing games. And that's it. You don't have driver updates. I mean, you sort of do, but not really. Definitely not on a Switch. You don't have all of the other stuff in Windows cluttering things up, and importantly, slowing down the performance because it has to dedicate resources to that stuff. And so what they announced is they're making a bunch of tweaks to, I guess, a special version of Windows that will run on these handheld devices that is specific to the Xbox experience. So you will turn one of these handhelds on, and it's not going to boot you into what looks like Windows. It's going to boot you into the Xbox app. And in that app, you will see your library of games. You can play your games. You can shut it down. They're adding the ability to see games from other stores. So if you've installed Steam and you've installed the Epic Launcher and things like that, those games will show up inside of the Xbox interface. I would love this. This is what I've been wanting since I got the Legion Go. And you'll be able to launch them right from this app. And more importantly, probably, these enhancements, they're shutting down lots of things that you don't need if all you care about is playing games. So it's going to save you a bunch of resources on things that are probably pretty useful if you were trying to use this Windows device as a productivity computer, but you're not. You just want to play games. And so in some scenarios of testing with this functionality, they have found that when you boot into this mode of Windows, it saves 2 gigabytes of RAM from consumption that you can now dedicate to gaming instead of things like, I don't know, running Windows updates and all of the other crazy stuff that Windows has to do as a productivity thing that you don't care about. They're also doing things to decrease the number of pop-ups and notifications and all of that other stuff that can pop up on a Windows PC while you're trying to enjoy your game full screen. They're doing things to better support the fact that you're not typically using it with a keyboard and mouse. You've just got these thumbsticks and buttons. So making it so that you can easily sign into the device using buttons, making it so that you can have easier access to using the keyboard when necessary for like typing into games and stuff, not necessarily for like, WASD type of controls on a touchscreen. That would be insane. So they're doing a lot here, and they've made a lot of progress on it. And so it's actually supposed to be out later this year. So I mentioned they showed off 2 devices, their new handhelds from Asus. The naming, it's kind of confusing. It's the Xbox Ally, or the more powerful one is the Xbox Ally X. It's probably easiest to just focus on, does it have an X at the end or not? Just like with the Xbox Series.
Series X.
Yeah, exactly. The Series X is the more powerful one on the consoles. The same is true here. The Xbox Ally X is the more powerful device here. They both have the same display. It's a 7-inch 1080p display running at 120 hertz with variable refresh rate, which is key. But so the real difference is the processor and the RAM. The regular Xbox Ally has the Ryzen Z2A chip with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. That Z2A chip, it's not super powerful. It's not going to be great. So you should instead look at the Ally X. That one has the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme. This will most likely be the first device with the Z2 Extreme processor in it. We've already gotten some devices with the Z2, but not the Z2 Extreme. And that's the one that you really want because it's a lot more powerful. This device will also have more RAM, 24 gigs of RAM. This is DDR5, and this is DDR5 8000. So this is really fast RAM also. I'm kind of surprised it's only 24. Maybe that's fine because, again, we're talking about an improved Windows experience that isn't consuming as much RAM. So if you don't need 32 gigs, I don't want to have to pay for 32 gigs of RAM, I guess. That one will also have 1 terabyte of storage built in. When can you get them? All they've said is holiday. We don't have an actual date yet. And how much will they cost? We don't know. We can speculate. I'm not going to be surprised if the Ally X is at least $900 unless Microsoft decides to subsidize the price of these in some way, which I just don't think they're going to do. So they're not going to be cheap, but the experience should be significantly better. And the other thing that I'm excited about is this version of Windows, it's not only going to be on these devices. They're going to make it available to essentially, probably eventually all of the Xbox or all of the Windows-based handheld devices. So in theory, maybe sometime early next year, I'll be able to upgrade or something like that to that version of Windows on my Legion Go and get that same experience. And that sounds pretty friggin' great.
I'm guessing MSRP of $1,000 or $999 with an initial offering price of $899.
Yeah, maybe. Most of these devices, they haven't done that sort of pricing where it's like we'll intro it at a cheaper price, but instead most of these devices go on sale fairly regularly.
Well, fine. But maybe it's on sale right away for the holidays.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I'll be really surprised if this is under 1,000.
Yeah, for the high end one.
Yep.
Those I think this one they can keep under 1,000 because it's that smaller display. It's not 32 gigs of RAM. We'll see what the tariff situation is. Who knows? Who knows? Okay.
But look in comparison at, say, Surface devices. I feel like they never made any effort to make Surface devices like economical price leaders.
Right, but that's a Microsoft device, and this isn't. This is Asus.
True. Okay. Yep. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I would be with you if it was if this was essentially a Surface branded device or some like Microsoft premium.
That's true. I keep forgetting this is a partnership.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah. So this holiday, and hopefully we'll get pricing and pre-order information soonish. Okay. So that was a big thing. And then weirdly, Xbox released another video like yesterday. It's like a minute long. It's super, super short, but tons of information and lots of things that you can like read into. The announcement on the surface was really just, hey, everybody, we are here to announce that we are partnering with AMD for the next generation of Xbox hardware. Cool. It's not super surprising, maybe a little bit, because there was some people wondering, like, maybe they'll move away from AMD and move to an ARM-based platform for the next generation. I didn't really expect that because games just aren't there
yet. Gaming? No.
Right. Eventually, yes. Right now, no. We're not ready for that. If Apple is barely getting AAA games on their high-end ARM-based processors, I don't see any of the major console manufacturers going that way just yet. But we can hope for eventually. So, okay, so not really a big surprise. The next generation Xbox will be powered by an AMD processor. They're also going to maintain backward compatibility support. I don't think that was ever really in question as long as they stayed with this traditional like x86 platform. What's more interesting is some of these other quotes. For example, they said, "We are building you a gaming platform that is always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience not locked to a single store or tied to one device." The single store is the most interesting phrase in that sentence. And that kind of goes back to what we were just talking about there with the gaming handhelds running this new version of Windows will support multiple stores. You can install Steam on these things, and those games will show up in the Xbox experience running on that Windows PC. So the question is, if they're talking about Windows here, and let's get into the next phrase here. They said Xbox is working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the number one platform for gaming. Windows is the number one platform for gaming, not Xbox. It is Windows. Now, there will be pedantic people out there who will say, but Josh, Xbox does run Windows. It's just a different version of Windows with a different hypervisor and all this. Yeah. But they don't talk about it like that. You don't see Phil Spencer on stage talking about, look how great Windows is on our Xbox, right?
Well, I mean, they did with the launch of Xbox One, right? That was the big thing. And it's running Windows.
Sort of. Yes, they did, and look how well that generation went for them.
That landed like a bomb.
Yeah, like that was helpful for getting apps onto this thing, which is what apparently none of the gamers wanted. But in this case, what this sounds like is a possibility is the next Xbox is running the version of Windows that I just spent what probably felt like to some people, including Richard, a half an hour talking about. If that Windows experience that is going to be on these handheld devices is also the Windows that you are going to get on an Xbox console, then that could mean your Xbox console will install Steam, will install Epic, and you can play those PC games from Steam and other stores on your Xbox console. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. And that would mean that you could play PlayStation exclusives on your Xbox as soon as they are released on the Steam store, which typically happens eventually. That would be really cool.
What should we wager? I'm betting against.
You're betting against.
I am.
So you think the next gen Xbox will just be another next gen Xbox that's not going to have this multi-store
I think the Windows
support?
talk is no different than it was back with Xbox One. I'm not convinced they're going to open the platform to let you play other platforms games. I don't see it. I don't know. And I know it's a new Microsoft, a different Microsoft, a kinder, gentler Microsoft. I buy it.
But if it helps ship units and then therefore gets people to stay in that ecosystem, because now they can say, look, this Xbox actually gets me access to Xbox and PC and sort of PlayStation through PC, when a PlayStation just gets me PlayStation and some of the Xbox games are available on PlayStation.
Sure, but don't forget, they still live on the Razer Blade model. They lose money on the box, and they make money on the games, and they own they own some of the biggest studios making games for their platform.
They do, but if they can get you to buy the Xbox instead of the PlayStation, then they can also probably get you to subscribe to Game Pass. And that's what they actually want. That's the Razer Blade. Game Pass is the Razer Blades. It's not even just the games anymore. It's the recurring revenue from Game Pass.
All right, so you're betting 4.
I'm betting 4.
All right.
I will admit that is biased because it's what I want. But yes, I'm betting 4.
Fair.
Yeah. So I think we're more than a year off from this. Like, best case scenario, this is 2026.
Holiday 2026.
Yeah. But I don't think that's likely. I think we're probably another year out from that. Okay, that is all the Xbox stuff.
Wait, you think we're more than holiday 2026 out?
Yes.
We're more than a year and a half out from this?
Yes. I don't expect the next generation devices until holiday 27 at the earliest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. The Xbox One launched in 2013. The Xbox Series X launched in 2020. So a 6-year life cycle for the Series X would be short. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Other quick gaming news. Switch 2 launched. Yes, that's a big deal. They sold 3.5 million devices in like 2 days.
Did you get one? Did you get one? Did you get one?
No, I did not. Maybe eventually, but right now, it's a Mario Kart machine for $500. And the new Mario Kart sounds great, but I don't love Mario Kart that much. And I've already got a portable device that plays a lot of games that I'm really interested in. So I don't need a Switch 2 yet. I don't want anybody to hear that and think that I think that that's a bad device. All of the reviews, including my friends that have them and stuff, it's basically a Switch Pro. It's just a better version of the Switch, and that's not a knock against it. The Switch is an awesome console with great games, and this one is much more powerful and more refined and better in pretty much every way than the original Switch. So if your Switch is broken or you never got a Switch or whatever, like, yeah, the only new Switch 2 launch title exclusive that's available now is Mario Kart, but it also plays all of the old Switch games. So you've still got a big library, and there are other third-party games that have launched for it too. So Switch 2 is available. Good luck finding one if you want one, but it does sound like it's pretty great. The other quick update, we talked all the way back at CES this year that Steam and Lenovo had announced that SteamOS would come to a version of the Lenovo Legion. That did happen at the very, very, very end of May. And when they launched that version of the Legion Go S, they also made SteamOS available for other devices. So if you have a Windows handheld, you can now download a version of SteamOS and flash it to your Windows handheld and run it like a Steam Deck. And because we don't have that version of Windows that I was just talking about, you're probably going to get better performance. You're just locked into Steam if you do that. So I haven't done that. Most of the games I'm playing, they're Xbox games, so I don't want SteamOS. But if you want it, it's available. It's free. It just costs you the time and energy and effort of getting it onto your device. But it might be worth it for you if almost everything you're playing is in the Steam ecosystem. So there you go. All right. That's it for our gaming news and really all of our news for this week. So Richard, it's been a few weeks. What's been going on in your entertainment center?
It has. So let's first of all talk about physical entertainment centers. Now, in the past, I've usually talked about our family room or maybe the room upstairs that we refer to as a library, which is basically a bedroom with bookcases in it, as the places that we watch TV. But I've really still wanted to have a bigger screen somewhere. And the only place that we can do that in our home is in the rec room in the basement. And Josh, you've seen our rec room. Our rec room is one big, long space. And at one end, there's like a sitting area and display and stuff like that. And at the other end, frankly, it's storage. We just have stuff piled there. So we are actively working to enclose some of the area at the end to create actual storage so that then we can have a clean space where we just hang out and can entertain. And also, I'm thinking maybe might have room for, I don't know, a projection TV or something. So I'm starting to look at, and I know you're not overly excited about them, but I'm starting to look at the Hisense short throw projector TVs as an option for that space. And they have TVs that have a short throw projection size of that's like variable between 80, 120 and 150, I think. And you can choose how you want it to size, even all on the same machine. These are now designed that they don't even need to use their screens, but they look better if you do, in fact, purchase their screen to put on the wall for them. So I am kind of looking at these again after not paying a whole lot of attention to them for a couple of years because I hadn't really seen any personal use for one. But now I'm like, well, this is certainly a lot less expensive than buying an overhead projector, and the space that I have for it just wouldn't justify the cost of an overhead projector because I'm not creating an enclosed home theater space. It's just an end of the rec room with a big blank wall and a sofa. So I'm going to be exploring those options over the next couple months, and I'm kind of excited about that.
So what size do you think you could end up with here?
I could totally do 150. Like we have the wall space to do a 150 inch diagonal screen.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's what we'll go for, but yeah, I have to do more research.
So then what are you going to do for sound?
For sound, their systems have built-in projection sound, and so I would start with that, but I could always add some sort of surround around it, even if it means having to have like speakers on stands behind the sofa or something like that, because this isn't like an overly crowded space where I would feel like that's cramping things in. I could do that properly if I wanted to.
Right.
And again, I'm not trying to create a home theater. I'm just trying to create a bigger screen experience somewhere in the home. I can't afford to build a home theater because, like, I watched Adam do it. I saw him make all the decisions where he's like, "Yeah, well, maybe I should get the bigger one," and I was like, "Yeah, you should totally do that," because I wasn't paying for it.
Right.
And I don't have the dedicated space to wall off the room. I don't have the patience or the budget to properly insulate the space and create the room within the room that you really need to do. So, yeah, I'm basically cheaping out for a big screen in my basement. And I'm okay with that.
No,
I can live with that.
I'm not going to blame you. Like that still sounds pretty awesome. Right.
So, I think it will be. All right. So, what have I been watching? What have we been watching? So it's been a long time. I finished the most recent season of The Last of Us. I liked the season a lot. I was not excited about the ending. I didn't think the ending was great. I think you've already talked about this on the show, Josh, but you were less excited about the season in general. I really enjoyed the season. It had some emotional roller coaster moments that I loved. It had me on the edge of my seat a couple times. The ending was fine. It was fine. I hope the next season is better than you think it's going to be. Also watch this. We finished The Voice because that was like forever ago, and I couldn't be more happy about the person who won The Voice this year. I like I said, I've never watched this before. We just kind of occasionally drop in on competition shows, and we've never watched one beginning to end. And for something like this person absolutely deserved to win. So I'm so excited to see that they did. We finished the current season of Doctor Who, which ended somewhat unexpectedly for everyone. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the next few specials and the next season. Also finished, finally, season 3 of Welcome to Wrexham. So my friend and I who watched that together are going to be starting season 4, which I think is already done by now. I don't know, but probably not quite done yet. But we are way behind on that. And then we started watching this thing on HGTV, I think. I don't know if it's HGTV or Magnolia, called Castle Impossible. I don't know if I talked about this before, Josh, but as you're grabbing a drink from your not a mug, whatever that was, your
water bottle,
your water bottle, and I have my beer over here. I'm reminded that this show, you could make a drinking game out of this show, and nobody would survive. All you have to do is set up the rules where every time they say the word chateau, you have to drink.
Oh, man.
And halfway through, you would be under the table, because this is about a couple that inherited a chateau and all of its land and other outbuildings somewhere in France. And it's a really cool concept and a really cool story. And HGTV is chronicling them renovating it and turning it, bringing it back to its glory. But they apparently can never use, I don't know, pronouns. Like, call it or the house or the property. It's always the chateau. We have to cut the lawn at the chateau. I left the pencil in the chateau. Like, everything is the chateau. It's making me absolutely crazy.
Is it making
But-
you want a chateau so that you can
I mean,
constantly
it's
say
kind of
chateau?
cool. But it's absurd, but it's cool. And it's this cute couple, and like they're pre-kids, and so they're in this phase of their life where they want to make something for their future family. So I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, we're also very excited that FUBAR is back. FUBAR, if you didn't watch it last season on Netflix, is what I would call taking True Lies, complete with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and turning it into a TV series. And if that doesn't sound exciting to you, then you're just no fun, because True Lies was awesome. And I fully recommend FUBAR. It's a lot of fun if you like that genre of thing. Also started watching Side Quest. This is the spin-off from Mythic Quest, very cleverly named. Very, very short, only 4 episodes, and so far, very good. Also, I have been watching Andor, and you may remember I was not behind, but I hadn't watched season 2 yet. And so before doing that, I wanted to rewatch season 1. Forgot how amazing that was. I watched a refresher and I'm like, yeah, I need to watch all of this again. And I just plowed through that. Now I've been watching season 2, and I'm hoping to finish it tonight after recording, actually. It has been so good, and I can't wait to finish it. And then this isn't a spoiler because this is how the show is slotted and defined. It leads up to Rogue One. So I then want to watch Rogue One, and I have seen it many years ago in a theater, but not for quite a while. We watched the movie on Apple TV Plus called Fountain of Youth. It looked like it was going to be kind of fun, had something of a God, I can't think of the name of the TV series, something Treasure, National Treasure vibe to it, which was both 2 movies and a TV series. Yeah. If you haven't watched it yet, I would say don't bother. It looked better than it was. It would have benefited, and I say this about many movies, from about half an hour of editing. If it were 30 minutes shorter, it would have been a much, much better movie. It wasn't bad. It just needed less.
Yeah, I'm really tired of the fact that most directors seem to think that every movie needs to be 2.5 hours now, and they don't.
No, they do not. And as far as reading, I finally finished The Siren's Call by Chris Hayes. Really enjoyed that, and I like to provide podcast recommendations every once in a while and try to go with things that I've been listening to that are new. I don't think this is that new. I think I've been listening for about a year now, but if I haven't mentioned it recently, I really enjoy Allison Sheridan's weekly podcast called The Nasilicast. It's primarily geared toward Apple-oriented people, but she goes deep into how-tos and product reviews and cybersecurity and stuff like that. And I learn so much from every episode of her show. Can't recommend it enough. That is it for me, Josh. What's going on with you? I see games at the top of your list.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm more likely to have games than any other type of media in my list. So
Fair enough.
That's why it goes first. And I am still playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I am in some parts sad, in some parts happy about that. In some parts sad because that means that I just haven't gotten as much time to play it as I would like, because it's really good. It's really good. I'm still really loving this game. Probably halfway through Act 2. I think there are 3 acts. Every single time I play this game, I put the controller down at the end of the night and think, man, this game is so good. And like, and new things keep happening in the game that leave me thinking like, this game is already great. They didn't need to add more, and they just kept adding more, and it just keeps getting better. And if you have Game Pass, you should get it and play it. If you don't have Game Pass, maybe because you're on PlayStation or something else like that, go and buy it. It's $50. It's not even $70 or $80 like Mario Kart. It is a $50 game, and you should go and play it if you like turn-based role-playing games. It's so good. They also released an expansion for The Division 2. It's called Battle of Brooklyn. The Division 2, I think, has been out for 7 years. It's kind of insane that they're still releasing expansions for it. This was only a $15 expansion, so we got together and started playing through that again over the weekend. Woof. This game, like, I had to remember so much because it's literally been years since we played The Division 2. So I had a lot of reminding myself and Googling, like, well, how does this system work in this game? But this new expansion has been a lot of fun. And there is still a lot going on in The Division 2 for a 7-year-old game. And if you're interested, well, they also recently added The Division 2 to Xbox Game Pass, so you could go and download it for essentially free if you're a Game Pass subscriber. It's pretty much it on the game side. On the movie side, there's a new Mission Impossible movie out in theaters. I think it's The Final Reckoning or something like that. Jen and I like Mission Impossible movies. I've been wanting to see the new one in theaters. We still haven't. We thought we were going to a couple weekends ago. So on, I don't know, like a Friday night a couple of weeks ago, we decided, let's watch the last one to remind ourselves of what happened. So that was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. We rewatched it, enjoyed it a lot, had hoped to go see the new one by now, but we haven't. Maybe this weekend. It's going to be like 100 degrees. It sounds like a good day to go sit in a movie theater.
Yeah, I think that was their big sell when they opened up movie theaters.
Right. Yeah. Sit in the air conditioning, eat way too much popcorn, and watch a crazy movie. So that's it on the movie side. TV, hockey, the Stanley Cup Finals, they ended last night. Florida Panthers won for the second year in a row. It looked like the Stanley Cup Finals were going to be really good, and then Edmonton decided we're actually not that good and got steamrolled by Florida.
Ouch!
I mean, that's not entirely fair. Florida is really, really good. Really good. I don't think anybody was going to be beating them this year. So that's maybe not entirely fair. But yeah, so that's done, which means that I watched the game, watched them hand out the Stanley Cup. I love that. Absolutely love seeing the Stanley Cup hoisted and skated around. It's so great. And then I went to bed, and as I was walking up the stairs, I canceled my Sling subscription because I have no more reason for Sling now that hockey is over. The Stanley Cup Finals were only on TNT this year. Normally, like I think last year it kind of went back and forth. It got divvied up between TNT and ESPN. I don't know if this was a TNT problem or a Max problem, or not Max, or a Sling problem, but the quality was never good. It was never good. It was always a little bit blurry, like it seemed overly compressed and stuff. And I don't know if that was because Sling is just not great or if TNT is just not great. If I had the version of Max that supported sports, so the like $20 version of Max, I could have watched it on there, and it would have been interesting to see if the video quality was better there. But I don't, because I canceled Max also once The Last of Us was done. And even when I did have Max, it was the lower tiered option that they've ripped sports out of. So I don't know. We'll see how this all goes next year. Maybe Sling, which has been my go-to for the Stanley Cup playoffs for the last few years. It was kind of frustrating with how bad the quality looked. So maybe that will not be my answer next year, but we'll see. Also watched Last of Us season 2. Yeah, I think I did talk about that last time. Like you said, I didn't like it nearly as much as you did, and I'll be curious to see how season 3 goes. We started watching the show Dark Matter. Well, we started and finished since the last time we recorded an episode. Dark Matter is based on the book by Blake Crouch that I really, really loved. I assume there's only ever going to be one season of this because they told the whole story that was in the book. So unless they're adding content on, I don't think there's going to be another season of it. If you like intriguing sci-fi and you're not sick to death of, quantum realm type stuff, then check out Dark Matter. It's on Apple TV and it's a good show. I am sick to death of quantum blah, blah, blah from all of the Marvel stuff and everything else. But Dark Matter was an extremely well-written book, and I think the show is really good, especially as it gets towards the end of the show, and you're like, oh no. Like, it's good. So check out Dark Matter if you're into that sort of thing. And then Jen had heard about a show called The Night Agent. This is on Netflix, and we watched the first 1 or 2 episodes. It's a good show. Do you know about this show, Richard?
I binged the whole thing so fast each season when it came out. I love this show.
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
Good. It's really good. I'm liking it a lot. So, yeah, it's hard to really talk about maybe without spoiling things and stuff, but it's an FBI like FBI / Secret Service / thriller. I don't know. It's good.
I would liken it in concept, but not in format to 24.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I never watched 24. Can you believe that? Doesn't that seem right up my alley?
Then you should totally do the full experience of that with Cord Killers, because that's what they're doing right now. First, last, ultimate, and lowest rated episodes.
No.
I like that. I enjoy that. I think it's kind of cool.
Anyway. Although there were a lot of seasons of that show, right? Like 6 or something like that.
There were, I think there were 7 full seasons and then a half season when they got cheap. And then they did a like legacy series with a completely different actor being a different person, and that did not do well.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
And that show at least started before the HD era. Right?
Oh, I believe you're right. I mean, that show started around when Alias started, which was pretty shortly after 9/11, actually. So, yeah.
So we'll see about that. And then in books, I finished Somewhere Beyond the Sea. This is the sequel to House on the Cerulean Sea that I had read last year and highly recommended. Somewhere Beyond the Sea is a good book. It is not as good as the first book, but it is good. And if you loved the first one, like there's no reason not to read this one. It does feel longer than it needs to be, but it still has a lot of the things that you will love out of the first book. My biggest complaint with this one, other than it's longer than it needs to be, is there are certain aspects to this book that they just beat you over the head with.
Yeah, you said before it seemed kind of preachy.
Yes. In the way that the first book wasn't. Like the first book told the story that it needed to tell in a way that it wasn't beating you over the head with it. And in this one, they really beat you over the head with it. It's still a good book and it's still a good story, and like it's a good continuation of that message and stuff, but could have taken a slightly lighter approach to some of it. But still enjoyable nonetheless. All right, well, that's what's been going on in my entertainment center. So let's tell the people how to get a hold of us, and then let's get out of here. So we're on all of the socials all over the place. I'm at Josh Pollard. Richard is Richard Gunther. I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky. Richard is on Blue Sky and Mastodon. Digimedia Zone is still on Twitter. That's it for all the socials. All the rest of our contact information, it's all in the show notes over at www.thedigitalmediazone.com, where you'll find links to everything we talked about, all of our contact information, all the ways to subscribe to the show, including our YouTube channel, where you can watch the video version of this. It's all there. Also, we occasionally do the show live whenever we do the show, which is typically a Tuesday or Wednesday around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So follow us to know when that's going to happen, because that's going to do it for episode 688. He's Richard Gunther, and I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Goodbye.